This is why you should never mock a poor person. Listen carefully, because what I am about to tell you is a story that changed an entire village forever. This is about a rich boy who laughed at a poor orphan, and how that laughter returned to swallow him whole. Before we begin, know this: mockery is like planting a seed. You may forget it, but the ground never does. And when it grows, it will either feed you or choke you. This is the story of Kelechi and Obinna, and the dead that water never forgets. Asterisk, if you're watching this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching my folktale story from. I want to know how far it has traveled. Asterisk. Once upon a time, in the village of Akam, there lived a boy named Kelechi. He was an orphan with no mother, no father, and no family. He lived in a small hut near the river and fetched water every morning to sell for food. His clothes were torn and old, but his heart was clean. The villagers pitied him, but no one helped much. Kelechi never complained. He smiled even when his stomach was empty. He worked hard and prayed often. But there was one person who hated him for no reason: Obinna, the son of the richest man in Akam. Obinna was tall, proud, and handsome. His father owned many lands, cows, and stores. Obinna wore fine clothes and ate meat every day. He had everything. But inside, he was cruel. He enjoyed watching people suffer, especially Kelechi. Every time Obinna saw Kelechi carrying water, he would laugh and call him names. "Look at the dirty beggar boy," he would shout. Other children would giggle nervously. But no one stopped him. One day, at the riverside, Obinna did something terrible. He walked up to Kelechi and kicked over his water pot. It shattered into pieces. Water spilled everywhere. Kelechi's eyes filled with tears, but he did not cry out. The crowd gasped. Women covered their mouths. Old men shook their heads. But no one spoke. Obinna laughed loudly and walked away, swinging his arms like a king. Kelechi knelt down and began picking up the broken pieces of his pot. His hands were shaking. Then, from the shadows of a tree, an old man appeared. He was thin, bent, and dressed in faded white cloth. His eyes were deep like wells. He stared at Obinna's back and whispered softly, "The river remembers every tear." Then the old man disappeared. No one knew where he went. The villagers helped Kelechi pick up the pieces and gave him a new pot. That night, Kelechi sat by the river and washed his face. He was tired and hungry. "God, why does he hate me?" he whispered. The river was silent. Meanwhile, Obinna went home laughing. He told his friends how he destroyed the poor boy's pot. They all laughed together. But that night, something strange happened. Obinna had a dream. In the dream, he was drowning in dark water. Hands were pulling him down, down, down. Obinna woke up screaming. His body was covered in sweat. His mother rushed into the room. "What is wrong, my son?" she asked, holding him. Obinna's heart was pounding. He looked at his hands, they were wet. But he had not touched water. His mother lit a lamp and checked him. "You are fine," she said gently. It was just a dream. But Obinna was not fine. He felt something cold inside his chest. That same morning, his father's prized cow was found dead in the field. No sickness. No injury. Just dead. The family was confused and worried. Obinna's father tried to hide the loss, but more strange things began to happen. A big trader who always bought their palm oil suddenly refused. "I will do business elsewhere," the trader said coldly. Obinna's father was shocked. Their family had never been rejected before. Money began to grow tight. But Obinna's pride would not let him stop. Instead of learning his lesson, he mocked Kelechi again at the market. Still begging for scraps, he shouted, pushing Kelechi's basket. People watched in silence. And once again, the old wanderer appeared at the edge of the crowd, watching with those deep, knowing eyes. The wanderer locked eyes with Obinna. His gaze was cold and heavy. Obinna felt a chill run down his spine. The old man's lips moved slowly. Cycles repeat, he whispered, though Obinna heard it clearly across the noisy market. Then the wanderer turned and disappeared into the crowd like smoke. That evening, the village herbalist came to Obinna's home. He was an old, wise man who read signs and spirits. Your family is in danger, he warned. Disrespect creates a debt. And debts must be paid. Obinna's father waved him away. We fear no one, he said proudly. But the herbalist pulled Obinna aside before leaving. He looked into the boy's eyes and said something strange. Your shadow is thinning. Obinna looked down at his shadow on the ground. It looked normal to him. What does that mean? He asked nervously. The herbalist shook his head. It means you are fading. Piece by piece. Then he walked away. That night, Obinna could not sleep. He kept thinking about his shadow, the dead cow, the lost business. Fear crept into his heart. And then, around midnight, he heard something. Water. Slushing. Inside his room. But there was no water anywhere. Obinna sat up in bed, heart racing. The sound grew louder. Slush. 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 Like someone walking through a river. He lit a candle with shaking hands. The room was dry. Nothing was there. But the sound continued. Then it stopped. Silence. Obinna lay back down, trembling. The next morning, his father received terrible news. Their biggest trade partner had cancelled all contracts. They were losing money fast. Obinna's mother began to cry. What is happening to us? She wailed. Obinna said nothing. He knew. Deep down, he knew. But pride kept his mouth shut. He refused to believe a poor boy's tears mattered. That night, something appeared in Obinna's room. A figure. Small, hooded, with glowing wet eyes like a drowned child. It stood at the foot of his bed, dripping water onto the floor. Obinna froze in terror. Who are you? He whispered. The figure tilted its head. I am the one who answers desperate prayers, it said in a voice like bubbles underwater. Your family is falling. I can stop it. Obinna's fear mixed with hope. How? He asked. The spirit smiled, showing sharp teeth. Bring me the boy you mock. Bring me Kelechi. Then your fortune returns. Obinna's heart pounded. He knew this was evil. He knew this was wrong. But fear and pride clouded his mind. What will you do to him? He asked quietly. The spirit's eyes glowed brighter. That is not your concern. Bring him to the forest tomorrow at sunset. Alone. Then your wealth returns. The spirit began to fade like mist. Wait. Obinna called out. But it was gone. Only wet footprints remained on the floor. Obinna sat in the darkness, breathing hard. He should refuse. He should tell someone. But instead, he began to plan. Tomorrow, he would trick Kelechi into the forest. The next morning, Obinna found Kelechi washing clothes by the river. His heart felt heavy, but pride pushed him forward. Kelechi, he called out softly. Kelechi looked up, surprised. Obinna had never spoken kindly to him before. Yes. Kelechi replied carefully. Obinna forced a smile. I want to apologize for everything. I was wrong. Will you meet me in the forest this evening? I have something to give you. Kelechi's eyes widened with hope. Maybe Obinna's heart had finally changed. Really? He asked. Obinna nodded. Yes. Please come. Sunset. Near the old mango tree. Kelechi smiled. I will be there. As the sun began to set, Kelechi walked toward the forest. His heart was light. He believed Obinna truly wanted to make peace. The forest path grew darker as he walked deeper. Birds stopped singing. The air felt thick and cold. Obinna. Kelechi called out. No answer. He walked further until he reached the old mango tree. There stood Obinna, but he looked afraid. You came, Obinna whispered. Before Kelechi could respond, the trees around them began to drip water. Drip. 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 But it had not rained. The ground grew wet. Then the hooded spirit appeared, eyes glowing in the darkness. Kelechi gasped and stepped back. What is this? He cried. The spirit moved toward him slowly, water flowing from its cloak. The offering has arrived, it hissed. Kelechi turned to Obinna. What have you done? But Obinna could not speak. Fear had stolen his voice. The spirit raised its hand, and suddenly Kelechi collapsed to the ground, clutching his chest. He could not breathe. His body shook. Obinna screamed, Stop. I changed my mind. But the spirit laughed coldly. Too late. A deal is a deal. Then, from the shadows, a powerful voice rang out. Not on my watch. The old wanderer stepped forward. The wanderer's eyes glowed bright like the river under moonlight. He raised his hand, and a wall of water appeared, shielding Kelechi from the spirit's power. The spirit hissed angrily. Who dares interfere? The wanderer stood tall. I am the guardian of the river spirits. I protect the innocent. He looked at Obinna with disappointment. This boy mocked the poor, humiliated the weak, and now he brings him to be sacrificed. The spirit pointed at Obinna. He owes us. His cruelty created the debt. The wanderer nodded slowly. Yes. He does owe. But not with another's life. Only with his own pride. The wanderer turned to Obinna. Your dreams, your losses, your hauntings, they are not curses. They are mirrors. Water returns what it receives. You gave cruelty, so cruelty returned to you. Obinna fell to his knees, trembling. I didn't mean for this to happen, he whispered. The spirit circled him like a shark. Lies. You meant every word, every kick, every laugh. The wanderer raised his staff. You have a choice, Obinna. Give up your pride and beg forgiveness, or lose everything you love. Obinna looked at Kelechi, still weak on the ground. His heart cracked. But pride whispered, don't kneel. You are better than him. Obinna stood up, anger flashing in his eyes. I will not kneel to a beggar, he shouted. The wanderer sighed deeply. Then you have chosen. Suddenly, vines made of water shot from the ground and wrapped around Obinna's arms and legs. He struggled, but they were too strong. The forest shook. Trees groaned. The spirit's laughter filled the air. Foolish boy, it hissed. The wanderer's voice became stern. You have 3 days to right your wrongs. 3 days to humble yourself. If you fail, everything you have will be taken. The vines released Obinna, and he collapsed. When he looked up, both the wanderer and spirit were gone. Obinna returned home in silence. His body ached. His mind raced. That night, his family's roof collapsed during a storm. No one was hurt, but their home was damaged badly. His father wept. What curse has fallen on us? He cried. The next day, debt collectors came demanding owed payments. Obinna's father could not pay. Their crops in the field rotted overnight, black and foul. Villagers whispered that the family was cursed. Obinna watched everything fall apart. On the second day, he saw the wanderer's face reflected in a puddle. The old man's voice echoed, 2 days left. Obinna's hands shook with fear. Meanwhile, Kelechi grew weaker. He lay in his small hut, burning with fever. Villagers brought him water and soup, but nothing helped. Some began to notice the connection. This started when Obinna mocked him, one woman said. Yes, another agreed. Every time Obinna hurt Kelechi, something bad happened to his family. Word spread quickly. People began to avoid Obinna. Children ran when they saw him. Even his friends stopped visiting. Obinna felt completely alone. On the third morning, he woke to find Kelechi was dying. Guilt finally broke through his pride like a hammer through glass. What have I done? He whispered, tears falling. Obinna ran to the herbalist home and pounded on the door. Please. Help me save him. The herbalist opened the door slowly. Why do you care now? He asked. Obinna fell to his knees, sobbing. I was wrong. I was cruel. I hurt him for no reason. Please, tell me how to fix this. The herbalist studied him for a long moment. Only the river can forgive you now, he said quietly. Go to the sacred river. Confess everything. Hold nothing back. Obinna nodded and ran. His heart pounded as he reached the riverbank. He fell to his knees in the mud. Please, he cried. Forgive me. The river water began to rise and swell. Villagers heard Obinna's cries and came running. Soon, the entire village gathered at the riverbank. The water formed into the shape of the wanderer, towering above them all. His voice boomed like thunder. Speak, Obinna. Confess before your people. Obinna's voice shook. I mocked Kelechi because I was proud. I hurt him to feel powerful. I kicked his pot, called him names, and tried to sacrifice him to save myself. Tears streamed down his face. I am a coward and a fool. I am sorry. The villagers gasped. Shame covered Obinna like a heavy blanket. The river glowed bright gold. Suddenly, the water exploded upward. The hooded spirit burst from the river, furious and dripping. No, it screamed. He cannot be forgiven without paying the price. The spirit's hands reached for Obinna's throat. People screamed and ran back. Obinna could not move, frozen in terror. The spirit's grip tightened. You owe me a life, it hissed. The wanderer raised his staff. Stop. The price is not yours to take. The spirit turned its glowing eyes toward him. Then who decides? The wanderer pointed to the crowd. They were carrying someone forward on a mat. It was Kelechi, weak and barely breathing. He decides, the wanderer said firmly. The villagers gently placed Kelechi on the ground near Obinna. Kelechi's eyes opened slowly. He looked at Obinna, then at the spirit. He hurt you, the wanderer said softly. He mocked you, destroyed your things, and tried to sacrifice you. The choice is yours. Should he be punished? Everyone held their breath. The spirit grinned, waiting. Obinna closed his eyes, ready for judgment. Then Kelechi spoke, his voice weak but clear. I forgive him. A wave of golden light exploded from his words. The spirit screamed as the light hit it. No. His mercy condemns you. The light grew brighter, pushing the spirit back into the water. The spirit dissolved into mist and vanished. The river calmed. Kelechi's fever broke instantly. Color returned to his face. He sat up, breathing easily. The villagers cheered and cried. The wanderer smiled. Forgiveness breaks all curses, he said. Then he turned to Obinna. You have been freed by the one you hurt. But your pride is gone. Obinna looked down. His fine clothes were torn and muddy. His father's wealth had disappeared. But something else happened. The villagers lifted Kelechi up with joy. They rebuilt his home, gave him tools, and offered him work. Kelechi's life transformed. Meanwhile, Obinna learned to walk with his own hands, humble and quiet. Months passed. Obinna worked hard every day, no longer proud or cruel. He helped others without expecting anything back. Kelechi became respected in the village for his kindness and wisdom. One evening, the wanderer appeared one last time. He gathered the villagers. "Remember this lesson," he said. "Mockery is a seed. Plant it, and it will grow into thorns that choke you. But mercy is a river. Give it, and it will flow back to you." He looked at everyone. "Never mock the poor. Never laugh at the weak. You do not know who carries a blessing." Then he disappeared forever. Peace settled over Akam. And the lesson lived on. The story you have just heard is a beautiful African tale passed down through generations. I am telling you to wake your minds to this truth: the way you treat those who have nothing reveals who you truly are. Mockery, cruelty, and pride may make you feel powerful, but they plant seeds that will one day strangle you. If you were Obinna, would you have humbled yourself sooner? Or would pride have destroyed you completely? I want to know your opinion, because every story is like a candle that can light the path for someone else. Remember, water remembers every tear. And so does God. Treat the poor with respect, the weak with kindness, and the humble with honor. You never know whose blessing you are standing on. God bless you, and may humility guide your heart. Meanwhile, on the final screen, I am leaving you with one of the channel's most beloved folktales about a girl who learned that beauty without character is like a flower without roots. I am sure you'll love it. Thank you for staying with me until this moment.